Hello and welcome to another Hunternet Starfighter mini update video. In this update video, I'll be showing off the new carrier flight model, as well as the ability to take control of the carrier and pilot it yourself. Now keep in mind, currently access to carrier pilot controls is restricted only to me, the developer. When the carrier update is further along, once anti-capital ship torpedoes are in the game, I will be allowing other players to control the carriers, and then we'll be testing carrier versus carrier combat when that becomes enabled. Let me show you how it works though. In the last update, I implemented the carrier landing system. In order to request command of one of these carriers, I have to first land on it. So I'm going to land here on the Artemis. Okay, once you have landed on a carrier, you can bring up the reship and dock menu. And here there is a now while docked, there's a docked menu. And in the docked menu, you'll see these observational cameras. This is available to all players. You don't have to have command of the carrier to use the carrier cameras. That's me right there. But in order to gain access to the controls of the carrier, you need to request command. Now that I have command, I can start, I can actually control it. Let me switch to one of these other cameras. I already started rolling it here. And the camera I like to use is this one on the lower bridge. And I also like to enable night vision. Gives me a better view of my carrier. Helps me judge its distance. You can also use mouse look to look around, track IR, Toby, or VR, which is very useful when you're flying these giant ships. Now, what I focused on this update was simply getting the flight model working and the physics for it. So when you crash into things, there's proper physics between you and the terrain, between you and the other carriers, for example. What I haven't done yet, and which is what I'm going to be focusing on in the near future, is adding proper VFX for the thrusters on the carriers, and also switching to the new carrier model. Now I'm going to pilot my carrier here towards these enemy carriers and bully them around a little bit. I can also switch around to see that my carrier is opening fire to some AI fighters that are flying around here. There's one right there. The carrier is gonna get a lot of more updates, but I wanted to show off the flight model and the physics. I'm gonna ram this guy. Let me use the forward camera, line up the nose of my ship. And I'm gonna try to ram this carrier into the other one that's over there. Just so you, in the last update, I enabled these landing decks on these locations, but since there was no flight model and there was no commands telling them to move, you couldn't see them moving. But now I can ram them. Ramming speed. Send him flying towards his buddy over there. There we go. Very nice. And anytime I can get off my carrier, inherit its velocity, admire some of the chaos. Get back onto it. Request command real quick. Switch to a better camera. And I'm back in control. So again, these carriers that are currently in the game are placeholder carriers. I'm going to be replacing them with the new carriers designed by our artist, Box Lunch, and the thruster outputs will be properly animated, showing you which thrusters are currently active, with VFX done by Yvonne. And there's going to be a small preview of the new carrier art and thruster VFX at the end of this video, so definitely don't check that out. And then currently, the only feedback you have is the speed lines to give you a sense of your speed, but you can also switch back to your fighter and look at the speed there, and look at your HUD and your radar sensors there. But the idea is that the existing HUD system will be extended to work with the carriers, and you will be able to use that to aid in your navigation, and there'll be impact warnings to help you avoid crash damage and so forth. But the important thing is the flight model is in place. It works quite well. We've tested this in multiplayer. And what I'm working on next, besides the art integration, is a proper support for destruction and a damage model for these carriers. Then following that, we'll have anti-capital ship torpedoes in the game. And then we'll be able to test our first fleet versus fleet combats with enemy carriers facing off, launching their carrier-borne fighters and torpedo bombers, and attempting to use those to defend yourself and to attack the enemy carriers and destroy them properly. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a major new gameplay loop for the game. Once the carrier versus carrier combat is working well, I'll also be focusing on new additions for the carriers, as they will play a critical role in the open world. In particular, not only will carriers be able to take these jump gates, but they will have access to an additional level of thrust on top of the kind of thrust the fighters have, where you have regular thrust, boosted thrust, and power burn. They'll have access to full burn, and full burn will allow the carriers to travel between locations at 7,500 meters per second, same speed as the jump gates, but under their own thruster power, which is another reason why they are the ideal way to take the fight to the enemy, deep in enemy territory. The other thing I want to show off in this build is some of the other things, in this update video, some of the other things that I think I'm bumping into the ring there. The carriers are huge. These are Star Destroyer size carriers, and these are the smallest carriers we have planned for the game. As I was saying, the other thing I want to do is show off a little bit the other features that were added to the game recently. Namely, for a long time now, the SF-13 Heavy Fighter has had its auxiliary equipment, the railgun, but now the Light Fighter has its auxiliary weapon, the jamming device. I'm gonna get off this carrier so I can show it off. Turn off night vision. Jamming device can be used to jam the sensors of any ships or turrets within 400 meters of you. See, those red bubbles indicate that these turrets are being jammed. It will also jam the sensors of ships further away from you that have their sensors trained on you, aka they have you targeted. This makes it easier for the Light Fighter to avoid things like missiles and railguns, and has helped improve the balance of the game. It's also going to play a critical role in carrier versus carrier battles, as Light Fighters and Heavy Fighters will be tasked with escorting and intercepting fighter bombers and torpedoes, and you'll be able to use the jamming device to jam the railguns and missiles as they fly by. So definitely be very useful there. The next auxiliary that I'll be adding is the anti-capital ship torpedoes, and I'll be doing more of these mini update videos as I continue to make progress on this major carrier update. Without further ado, guys, thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in Hunternet, you can gain access to the game right away by backing the project at hunternet.gg on our primary website. If you want to follow progress closely, I recommend subscribing here to our YouTube channel and wishlisting the game on Steam. See you guys next time. Happy hunting, pilots.